Hello friends. Welcome to Spinal Cord Injury TV. Here on this channel we promote spinal cord injury community, with their visuals, and analyze their everyday-to-day activities. Let's see how one can switch from a manual wheelchair to power wheelchair using smart drive device in this video.
I use a manual wheelchair, but what if I said I could temporarily turn it into a power chair? This is called a smart drive attachment, and it eliminates the need to push. This is how it works. You switch it on and it attaches to the bottom of the camber tube underneath a manual wheelchair. I've never been able to do it independently, although some people can. Once it's on the camber tube, you attach the cable, and the cable connects the smart drive to the dial, which is how you control the smart drive. So then I squeeze the dial to turn it on, and then if you click the dial forward, it will start pushing for you. And the further you click it forward, the faster it goes, although it wasn't made to actually go fast. So as you can see, I'm not pushing, that's the smart drive. Still, you do need to hold on to the push rims to steer, or else this might happen. And of course, to slow down, you just click the dial backwards and it starts slowing, or if you click it all the way backwards, it stops. So this little thing is really helpful when you're traveling cities, especially because it was covered through insurance. And when you remove it, it just turns right back into a manual wheelchair. So why do I use a manual wheelchair when I could use a power chair? For the most part, a manual wheelchair allows me to traverse a lot of inaccessible environments, more so than a power chair could. I could go up and down steps, go off-road to some degree, and also fit through slightly narrower doorways because power chairs are usually a little bit wider. You could also maneuver narrow doorways with this trick, as I show. Manual chairs are also much lighter, meaning you don't necessarily need a wheelchair van, which are very expensive. You can just disassemble or reassemble the chair. And lastly, you can get more exercise with a manual chair. But not everyone can use a manual wheelchair. I can, so that's why I do, because there's so many reasons that they do have an advantage, especially in an inaccessible world. Unfortunately, this hotel balcony has an unusual step, so this is how I'm still able to maneuver it in my wheelchair. I pop a wheelie and place my casters on the other side of the ledge. Then I hold onto the push rims and I push my rear wheels past the step. And then of course, I'm free to people watch from the balcony. And coming back, it's the same process in reverse. Even though I make videos showing how I maneuver things in my wheelchair, I am not an expert. And my failed first attempt videoing how I tried to get over this doorway was a prime example of this. I popped a wheelie to put my casters on the other side of the step and attempted to push up the step, but my wheels just weren't cooperating.
Are you sure on the doorway pull?
Huh?
Doorway pull?
I've tried that, and for some reason it doesn't really work.
Then I thought I wasn't pushing enough, so I tried pushing harder. So my body was moving forward, but my chair wasn't, clearly. Hashtag home. If I can only use one arm, what do I do? Do I just go in circles? The answer is sort of. If I go fast, only pushing with one arm, yes, I will make a circle. But if you go slow, you can kind of go straight, or you can use the one arm and push both wheels like I'm showing here. I can even wheelie with one arm. Of course, another option could be a one-arm drive, which is designed to help you push with only one hand. And it attaches like this push rim on the same wheel around that area that I'm showing here. But luckily, I don't need that. Happy wheelies! Are my legs stiff because I'm in a wheelchair? Not exactly. I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which usually means that we are overly flexible naturally. So I rarely feel the need to stretch, and my legs will basically do whatever I want them to do. My shoulders, on the other hand, are a different story. When you start using a wheelchair, your upper body is like on overdrive, and your shoulders definitely get very tight, EDS or not, for me anyway. So these are the stretches I commonly do, probably daily. And that was a good question because a lot of wheelchair users actually do struggle with tightness. Is it okay to ask a wheelchair user if they need help? Especially if you see them struggling or falling, I absolutely don't think it is inappropriate or rude to offer help. I think the most important part is to ask before assuming and giving someone help that they don't need, like pushing their wheelchair by the push handles. If someone does agree to receiving help, the next follow-up question should be, how can I help? Just to make sure that you're giving the right kind of help. But if someone does say no, help is not necessary, it is best to listen to them and respect that. As someone that goes to New York a lot, I wanted to talk about the accessibility of their subway. Only about 1 in 4 subway stations in New York are wheelchair accessible, and that's assuming that all of the elevators are actually functioning, which isn't usually the case. This makes it difficult for disabled tourists to navigate the city. and of course disabled New Yorkers as well. So if you wanted to get off at Canal Street, you can't because it's not accessible, and neither are the stations directly before and after Canal Street either. So you have to get off at West 4th and Washington Square instead. So unfortunately, this just means that you have to walk extra or pay to get a lift, which sucks and ends up taking more time.
Please kindly click subscribe. Thanks for your support.